challenge.
To get this legend of the road spruced up in time for a birthday bash.
What about this for a test drive? If you look at your mirrors at what we got behind us, it's not bad.
Not bad at all. It's better than not bad.
Oh, yes! I'm Mike Brewer, and I've been buying and selling cars for nearly 40 years.
There is a bit of smoke coming out the back, but I don't care.
Now I've set up shop in Britain's motoring heritage heartland.
It's a belter. I love it.
Along with ex-Formula One mechanic Mark Elvis Priestley.
Do you know what? I think you found us a winner here.
Together, we're going to buy
Oh, look at that.
and fix up
That is horrible.
the most iconic and exciting cars on the market.
When they go wrong, they're expensive.
Well, this one's gone wrong.
With Elvis's engineering skill
It works.
and my car dealing clout,
2,950. Done. Top man.
we should be able to make ourselves a tidy profit.
Right, mate.
Hello, fella.
What are you up to?
What's your favourite British sports car?
Well, I've got to say McLaren.
Of course you're going to say that.
But beyond that, Aston Martin, MG.
Stop there. Right, you're going to love this. MG is also the biggest car club in the world, and that car club this year are going to be celebrating the 60th anniversary of the MGB.
No, it's not 60 years old. Is it really?
6 decades old.
Doesn't it age well?
It's aged really, really well. And as such, there's all these anniversary parties planned at events up and down the country throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, me and you...
I can see where you're going to go with
Yeah,
this.
to jump in on that.
Yeah.
And being it's the summer, go for a roadster, nice convertible.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm all over that. It's a great idea.
Lovely. Well, I know just a person who can help us out, so leave it with me.
Launched in 1962, the MGB had a production run of 18 years. And get this, in that time, they sold over 500,000 cars. And what's not to love? It weighs under a tonne and has 95 horsepower. Not a lot by today's standards, but pretty fast back in the swinging 60s. With it celebrating an anniversary this year, there's lots of buzz around the MGB badge. And that also means there's money to be made. And I think I found the perfect candidate. It's a 1967 MGB Roadster, finished in red. It's got the black top on it, looks really decent in the pictures. Rust-free, nice solid car with a decent engine. However, being 1967, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a few things wrong with it. And also, the guy that I'm buying the car from, you may recognise him because I met him years and years ago when I went and bought an MGB GT off him, four-wheeler dealers.
Oh, Barry, it looks absolutely fantastic out in the sun. It's a joy to get behind the wheel of something as original as this car. I feel like Nigel Havers. What about if I was to say £1,000?
Sorted.
Done. Lovely. Do you know, I feel like I bought myself a cracking little motor.
£1,000? What a bargain. But almost 2 decades on, I'm looking at a price of £12,000 as I head back to see Barry. He's still renovating and selling MGs from his home in Hertfordshire all these years later.
Barry, how are you?
I'm all right.
Oh,
yeah,
mate, so good to see you again.
Good to see you, yeah.
Well, how long ago was it?
18 years.
18 years, really? 18 years?
18 years.
Oh, nothing's changed. It's exactly the same, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, listen, I know that you've got the EU butter mountain of MGs. Hopefully you've still got that car we spoke about.
I have at present, yes.
Excellent. Can I go and have a look?
Of course you can. You
Lovely.
follow me.
Wow, look at this. You really have got everything here, ain't you? So where's the one that I've come to see?
Yeah, it's just up here.
Whoa. How long's this car been here?
Well, it's probably just coming up for a year.
A year. Why?
It's a non-overdrive car, so that does have an impact.
Right, so overdrive, basically you get a 4-speed gearbox, which is how they would come out of the factory, and some people have an electric 5th gear, effectively. It's a little switch that sits on top of the gear knob. You can throw a little switch, engages another gear, you get overdrive.
That's it.
That's a reason why it's still in stock. Plus, I can see some other reasons.
Yeah, I know you're looking inside. The car, I'd like to call it that it's nicely mellowed, but it's it's a little bit tired in places.
The seats are baggy. They need re-foaming or repacking. And that walnut dashboard is of a period when I can see that when it was put in, it was probably quite nice. But now it's just horrible, isn't it? And it needs to go. What about suspension? What's that like?
Right, it's all standard suspension on here. There are upgrades. We had considered it, but we haven't done that.
Can we have a look at the engine?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've opened the bonnet on an MGB. Look at that. That is cleaner than my house. It looks like it's had some work done to it.
It has. I mean, the engine's painted, but it's actually a gold seal engine.
Is it really?
Yeah. They were an engine that was rebuilt by the factory of the time, Leyland or BMC, and they were done to a standard.
I suppose the only thing left for me to do is to get it out there and give it a spin. Can I take it for a drive?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem at all.
So I still fit after 18 years. Oh, this is taking me back. It really is taking me back 18 years since I've had one of these. Brilliant little cars. And that engine that's epic. Listen to it. It sounds sweet as a nut. When you get into an old car like this, what you're listening out for are creaks, groans, rattles, things that are happening in the chassis, things that are happening underneath your bum, things that are coming from the steering column, the wheels. But this car has been looked after. What a shame you just can't chuck another cog in that gearbox and give it the extra legs that it really does need, this car. Barry said already I could have this car for 12 grand, which is a fair price for this car. Bear in mind it's got no rust. But I think with all the work I want to do to it, I think I need to get this car more like 11 grand.
How'd you get on, Mike?
I'm going to tell you, that gold seal engine feels like it was built last week.
Yeah.
It actually runs and drives lovely, doesn't it, that engine? So, yeah, I can't fault that. The suspension, you can feel that it's just tired.
Yeah.
You know, it does need updating. But the real Achilles heel to this car is that gearbox. At 60 miles an hour, this car's run out of puff. For me, I'd want to do something about that. Whether it's an overdrive or, you know, change the gearbox entirely. You said I can have it for?
12 grand.
12 grand. I still think to do those bits and pieces to the car, I'm going to need a bit more at the other end. And for that to happen, I need to make you an offer of 11 grand.
That's 11 grand. I don't really want to go to.
I know it's hard. 11 grand. I know it's not what you was expecting, but you think about it, it's suspension, gearbox, seats, dashboard. There's a lot to do to this car to make it the car it should be. So, would you take 11 grand?
Yeah.
You would?
Got a deal.
Oh, Barry, thank you so much. That is absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant.
There is a slight sense of smugness about this face, and that's because I think I've just bought us an absolute belter. Yes, I know we've got to do some work to it, but all that stuff is doable. It's stuff that we can buy. You can fix those bits and pieces. So when I roll up outside that workshop door and I present Elvis with this, in its 60th anniversary year, I expect big smiles from that boy's face. He is going to love working on this.
Nice.
Boom!
Mate, that looks unbelievable.
Bought it off of a guy called Barry, who I visited 18 years ago, the only other time that I bought an MGB.
Yeah, I bet the prices have changed.
The prices have changed considerably. Ready? 11 grand.
I mean, it seems a bit steep, but I suppose these things are going up all the time.
They're going up in value, but this car's 55 years of age, so it's a good one.
Yeah.
But I reckon if we do the jobs right, there's some jobs that are hidden on this car.
What are the jobs?
Right, so first thing that's up with it is right there in front of you. It's the Achilles heel of this car.
You've bought one without an overdrive.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, that's very kind of you.
Okay.
That hurt. Problem with this gearbox is there's only 4 gears in that box.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a B engine in an older car, an MGA.
Yeah.
And I've done a 5-speed gearbox conversion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, it's transformed the way the car drives. The car drives wicked.
Has it? Yeah, it's actually a reasonably common upgrade, that, isn't it? I mean, I think people put the MX-5 box in these quite a lot. And actually, isn't that exactly the same box as the Caterham boxes? Because I used to use those all the time.
It is the same box, yeah.
Well, listen, I've got a decent contact list, so it's worth a shout. I mean, definitely, yeah.
Sort of pinning my hopes on that when I bought the car.
But you still reckon there's a profit in it?
This is the 60th anniversary year. Of course there's going to be a profit in it. We're going to get all that free publicity out there surrounding the mark of MGB. We should be able to sell it for around 15 grand.
OK.
So the gearbox we need to change. The other thing is this.
Bit soft, bit sloppy.
Very sloppy. When you go into a bend, it's you turn in, count to 1-2 seconds, and then the bodywork starts to engage thereafter.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I reckon a lot of the suspension bushes of this car are probably the same old 55-year-old bushes from when it was new, so we could definitely upgrade those. There's more modern materials now, which will transform the way it handles, and shouldn't cost a fortune, so we could do that.
Lovely. Like the idea of that. OK, take a seat inside, because the last thing for me, it's all the stuff that you can touch, feel and see.
Love that, the original stereo.
Yeah, it only gets 1960s radio. Bit of worn-up bird dashboard, sir.
Well, it's probably got its place, but I'm not sure this is it. I mean, it's not the original one for this car, surely.
No, that's just been bolted to the original dash that's behind it. So basically, that's the stuff that will make the difference come sale time.
And make it worthy for that big birthday celebration.
Yeah, so that's the other thing.
The clock's ticking a little bit on this
The
one.
clock is ticking. Nobody's going to be celebrating the 61st anniversary, are they? So we know what we're doing. I've got a list of things to do, so you want me to go and find some bushes for it?
Yeah.
OK, I'll go and look up seats, dashboard, all of that kind of stuff. And you?
And I'll go and find us a new gearbox.
Top man.
First things first, I need to get this engine and gearbox out and then keep my fingers crossed that I can track down a Caterham box that we can use for that 5-speed upgrade. However, the window of opportunity is narrow. If we want to capitalise on the celebrations and make a profit, got to get this car turned around quickly while the party's still going and make sure we don't overspend.
Moment in archaeological history.
The burial contained 5,000 objects. It's like a story. When I saw the city, it was absolutely spectacular, mind-blowing. This will change history.
King Tut Uncovered starts 4th December on Discovery Channel.
Dad just got hurt. Can't move. No vehicle could get to him. No ambulance could get to him.
You don't know how long the Kilter legacy is going to go.
There's been times when we wanted to give up.
Will the next generation step up?
It's terrifying.
It won't be easy.
Alaska: The Last Frontier. Wednesdays on Discovery Channel.
Some of the best miners in the world are here in New Zealand. We just have to go find them.
Oh my
God. This is like Indiana Jones. Hope we're not trespassing.
Put your foot on the gas, get the wheels spinning. Right now, this is not in the stack.
Gold Rush Parker's Trail. Wednesdays on Discovery Channel.
Okay. Everybody in a car, let's go. There is a group in Poland that we have been tracking. Potentially there is a Nazi tunnel in a volcano. Talk about mystery, this is it. It's a tunnel. Are you kidding me? Did you say 100 to 300 tons of gold? Oh, wow. Guys, I got something here. Is that a picture frame? Get the out of here. Back up, back up.
Expedition Unknown. Wednesdays on Discovery Channel.
Let's go!
Baptism by fire. I have no food, no water.
This is crazy.
You
You got 5 seconds and you're dead. We need to get the hell out of here.
Oh my God.
There's bears. Come on. Gears up ahead. Please, there's never an option.
Yes. Now I got some burnt bird. What more can a man want?
Survival Night. Tuesdays on Discovery Channel.
We're celebrating the 60th anniversary of a British classic, the Mgb, but its current gearbox isn't up to the pace of modern roads. So I've called in a favour and come to engineering firm Vitesse. They have the specialist tooling equipment and spare parts that I'm going to need to upgrade our gearbox. Now, I spent much of my early racing career in small Caterham race teams, and luckily for me, I've hung on to a lot of those contacts because one of them has come good, and I've managed to track down an ex-Caterham race car 5-speed gearbox. These gearboxes were originally Mazda MX-5 gearboxes, but then converted to go into the Caterham 7. Now, I've stripped it down because I didn't know exactly what its history was, but for £200, well, I thought it was worth the risk. But as you might expect, a £200 gearbox doesn't come without its problems. This is the synchro ring for 4th gear, and it's heavily worn, but even worse, it's actually got a split in it. It's cracked. This is the part of the gearbox that synchronises that gear change, makes it smooth, allows one gear to mesh into the other. But because it's split, every time you try and do that, this is going to want to try and open up. And as it does that, it's not going to synchronise properly. You're going to get that horrible crunching sound when you try and change gear. So that needs replacing. So does the selector fork between 3rd and 4th gear, which looks like it's been worked hard during its life out on the racetrack. And that's not all. There is one other job that I need to do. When this was a Mazda MX-5 gearbox, at some point through the evolution of the MX-5, Mazda deleted the speedo drive from a gear that was on this shaft inside the gearbox, and they moved to picking up the speed from an ABS hub. And when this was in a Caterham, they used a digital wheel speed sensor to do the same job. We haven't got either of those on our old Mgb. And so what I'm going to do, using the tooling and equipment here at Vitesse, is go back to an old-school way of doing things. I'm going to remount that gear onto the shaft. I'm going to remachine the hole in the casing, and then I've chosen to use this, a mechanically driven electronic speedo drive that's going to give us a much more reliable reading. So once I'm done, not only will the car have a higher top speed, but we'll also have a much better idea of how fast we're going. First off, I'm machining a hole in the tail housing of the gearbox. Then welding into position a sleeve that's going to hold our new speedo drive in place. Now, I've reassembled the gearbox, and it feels like a good opportunity to show you exactly how some of these issues that I found earlier on came to be. This is our heavily worn selector fork and our synchro ring, and you can see them now in position. This is the selector fork here that's essentially connected to your gear lever in the car. And when you throw it from that 4th to 3rd gear downshift, that moves this piece along the shaft here. Now, what can often happen, and this happens all the time on the road, people get lazy when they're driving the car. They leave their hand sitting on the gear lever, resting on it. Now, you can see, if that happens, as we turn the input shaft, that synchro hub is spinning, the fork is not, and if you're constantly resting on it and putting pressure on it, those two surfaces are constantly rubbing against each other, and it doesn't take a genius to work out that you're going to end up with excessive wear. So, all the welding is now done on the tail piece. I've completely inspected and checked over the actual gearbox itself, so it's time to put it all back together. I'm using some room temperature vulcanizing silicone in between the gearbox housing and the rest of the assembly. This will give us a really tight seal and help stop any oil leaks. Next, I'm adding the tailpiece and lining up the hole I machined into it with the new gear that our electronic speedo drive is going to connect into. Right, with our gearbox now safely clamped in this jig, I can start to build up the front piece and the bell housing. And this is what it originally looked like. When Mazda used to use this gearbox in the MX-5, this was their bell housing. It's enormous, look at it, one piece. But when Caterham came along and wanted to use the same gearbox in their little Caterham 7, there's no way they were going to get that giant piece through the small tunnel of their little car. And so they came up with an ingenious solution. They separated this one piece into two separate pieces, creating this centrepiece here, much narrower and slimmer to fit into that small space. Now, this centrepiece is currently being heated up It's aluminium, and with that heat, the metal expands, and I'm then going to take it over. Hopefully, as I lift it off, it will slot nicely over these bearings of the gearbox. There we go. Now I can bolt on the oil seal end cap to keep the bearing in place, and I'm almost done. This is the final piece of the jigsaw, the bell housing that's going to suit our little MGB. And with that in place and bolted on, all I need now is the final few bits and pieces, the brackets and things that are going to allow me to install it, and I get the whole lot back to our workshop and get it back in the car.
So I'm on my way to go and see a business that's been keeping MGBs on the road for decades. In fact, they've been going for 40 years. And I've spoken to them with a little bit of a parts list, and they think they've got everything I need. The only problem I've got is the money that we're spending. We've already dumped a lot of money into that MX-5 gearbox and the conversion, so I have to be really tight on the old purse strings about where I go with these parts. I've known commercial manager Chris for years, so I'm hoping he's going to help me find everything I need. Here he is.
Mike, how are you doing?
Chris,
Good to see you, mate.
I'm all right, buddy. How are you?
I'm really well, thanks.
Great
really
to
well.
see you again. Wow, what a year this is going to be for you.
This is a cracking year for us, and for this particular motor here, the MGB.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
It's good for us.
Yeah, good for you. Well, listen, talking about good for you, I've been sat for hours flicking through your catalogue, trying to find bits for my car, and what I need are the bits that you can feel and touch, and more importantly, when I drive the car, it's a bit tired, so I just want to do polybush upgrade. So have you got those bits?
Right, we've got all of that in stock.
Right.
Have a look.
Nice one. Is that, Chris, tell me, is that a sat-nav in your hand to get around?
This, believe it or not, this tells us all where to go and what to look for.
Look at the size of it. It's brilliant. That's empty. There's nothing in there. What are we looking for?
It's actually right next to it. These are your polybushes. This is going to transform the ride of your car. You've got rubber bushes on there. They've probably been on there a long, long time. They've perished. They've lost the elasticity. Polyurethane doesn't. It's far more durable. It's far more long-lasting. It's a little bit stiffer as well, so that's going to sharpen up the ride a lot.
Fantastic. How much is a set of polyurethane bushes going to cost?
The whole kit's only 204 quid.
So for just 204 quid, you can transform the ride of a car.
It's that
It's
easy.
unbelievable. Yeah, put those down to me. We can take those with us, actually.
Chris has also sorted me out with new carpet and new foam seat inserts.
Got almost every part except for... You found it.
The finishing touch.
Nice one. Yeah, that is going to make all the difference, that is. Look at that. Absolutely awesome, mate. I can't wait to get this back to the workshop, give it to Elvis, get it bolted to the car. And I look forward to seeing you at the 60th anniversary.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, nice one.
Great to see you.
And you, buddy. See you later.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Whilst Mike's been out shopping, I've got our reconditioned gearbox back to the workshop. And after I've replaced the broken parts, it's set us back a total of £1,100. But that's still cheaper than buying a new one. Now, one of the issues that we've got here is that we've got essentially a Mazda gearbox going onto the back of our original MGB engine. And we look at the clutch, it has to suit this flywheel, yet the clutch plate, the bit that sits in the middle, has to suit that Mazda gearbox. The Mazda clutch plate is a lot thicker than the original MGB one, and what that does is has the effect of moving the bite point of the clutch on the pedal travel inside the car. And so, to overcome it, we have to use a series of little tiny spacers. Just washers that move the whole thing out, just that tiny bit, and bring it back to the way it should have worked in the beginning. This fix costs just a few pence for the washers and saves us a good couple of £100 on a new flywheel. And on this tight budget, we need to save every penny. Now I've got the clutch plates together and mounted back onto the engine, I can join it to our new gearbox. And then, very gently and gradually, lower both of these enormous components that weigh roughly the same as a baby grand piano back into the car. And with everything secured, finally I'm fitting the gearbox mount to the chassis. You can clearly see now we're under the car that there's no way we could have fitted the original MX-5 bell housing into this narrow tunnel. It's in fact the very same reason that Caterham had to redesign their box to fit into the narrow tunnel of their Caterham 7. I'll tell you what, I'm really pleased they did. Next, I'm bleeding the hydraulic clutch to make sure there's no air in the system. And to finish everything off, in goes a fresh 5-speed gear knob to match the new box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 gears in our little MGB. Amazing. I mean, that's a huge amount of work just to get that one extra gear. And actually, we're nowhere near being finished, because whilst that is going to transform the way this car drives, there are still a number of other things that I need to do to make this car worthy of its 60th anniversary celebrations.
After a successful shopping trip, I'm back at the garage, hopefully with everything Elvis needs.
Here he is. How'd you get on?
I'm all right, yeah, not bad at all. I'll tell you what, they've got absolutely every single part you need to rebuild an MGB. Please tell me, with a prop shaft in your hand, the gearbox is now done.
Oh, mate, it is. We've got a 5-speed in there, and I love it. I'm so happy. Cost us a lot of money, I've got to say. Disappointed with that, but I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It has, though, meant the original prop shaft, of course, no longer works. So I was wondering whether you could take it, and hopefully for not a lot of money, if I give you the dimensions, someone could maybe cut it, put a new end on it and make it fit.
OK, well, I'm not too sure how much it's going to cost, but if you ping me across the dimensions, I know a company that can help us out with that.
OK, I'll stick that in there, mate. Let's protect your pretty little hands.
Lovely. OK, well, I'll get the box of MG parts then, shall I?
Thanks, mate.
Renewable energy is key to a sustainable future for our planet, requiring collaboration.
Some of the best miners in the world are here in New Zealand. You just have to go find them.
Gold Rush Parker's Trail, Wednesdays on Discovery Channel.
Considering how much money Mike and I spent on that gearbox conversion, we've now got to be a little bit clever about where else we spend cash to bring this MGB up to speed for its 60th anniversary. But that Polybush kit that Mike found for just £200 feels like money well spent, because it should transform the way the car feels and complement that new gearbox too. Bushes are essentially little cushions that are mounted on your suspension and steering joints to absorb road bumps and reduce vibrations. Our MGB's fitted with rubber ones, but they'll be badly worn after 50+ years on the road, which explains the poor handling that Mike felt. Right, that's the last of the nuts and bolts undone. Now it's just this gearbox jack that's holding the arm up. So by carefully lowering it a little bit at a time, I should be able to remove the spring. Excellent. With the spring out of the way, I can get the suspension control arm where the bushes are housed out and over onto the bench. There we go. Well, you can very clearly see that these old rubber bushes are absolutely worn out. Nearly worn through, in fact. That's terrible. So these poly bushes are going to give it a real new lease of life. The difference being that these go very soft, they wear out over time, whereas our poly bushes should last the lifetime of the car, but also really make the steering and the suspension a little bit more precise, make the handling just a little bit nicer. It's like taking a car that's almost coming up to its 60th birthday and treating it to a little bit of plastic surgery, making it look and feel like a 20-year-old. Before I fit the new poly bushes, I'm blast cleaning everything to get rid of decades of dirt and grime, and that should also help the suspension unit function more smoothly. Now that these suspension components are all cleaned up, looking much nicer, ready to go, it's time to put these in. These are our new poly bushes. Now, as you can see, this new one is much firmer. We're going to get more precision through the suspension with these bushes in place. So, with the help of a vise and a little bit of normal hand soap, just as lubrication, we should hopefully be able to gently push them into place. go. With the new bushes in place, it's just a case of bolting everything back together and reassembling the suspension back on the car. Right, now this is where things get a little bit tricky. I have taken the liberty of putting some new springs in because actually the old ones are pretty corroded and these are really cheap. But getting it all back into the right position to get the bolts in could be a bit of a challenge. The springs cost just £100 and with some gentle persuasion... yes! I can line all 4 bolts up and finish the refit. With that, the front end of this car and this job of fitting the poly bushes is now done, by far the most difficult part. The rear end should be much simpler around those leaf springs. That's all I've got left to do on that. And then this car's handling, its suspension should be fully transformed and given a long life into the future. But if we want to give this car an upgrade worthy of its 60th anniversary, we've absolutely got to get that interior right too. Now, originally, this little MGB would have had a black metal dashboard, but somebody, over the course of its history, has replaced it with
There's spares. Come on. Gears up ahead. Quitting is never an option.
Yeah. And I got some burnt bird. What more can a man want?
Survival Night. Tuesdays on Discovery Channel.
This is the most important moment in archaeological history.
The burial contained 5,000 objects. It's like a story. When I saw the city, I could be absolutely spectacular, mind-blowing. This will change history.
King Tut Uncovered. Starts 4th December on Discovery Channel.
Okay. Everybody in a car, let's go. There is a group in Poland that we have been tracking. Potentially there is a Nazi tunnel in a volcano. Talk about mystery, this is it. It's a tunnel! Are you kidding me? Did you say 100 to 300 tons of gold? Oh, wow. Guys, I got something here. Is that a picture frame? Get the out of here. Back up, back up!
Expedition Unknown. Wednesdays on Discovery Channel.
My dad just got hurt. Can't move. No vehicle could get to him. No ambulance could get to him.
You don't know how long the Kilter legacy is going to go.
There's been times when we wanted to give up.
Will the next generation step up?
It's terrifying.
It won't be easy.
Alaska, the Last Frontier. Wednesdays on Discovery Channel.
Some of the best miners in the world are here in New Zealand. We just have to go find them.
Oh my
God.
This is like Indiana Jones. Hope we're not trespassing. Put your foot on the gas, get the wheels spinning right now. This is not in stack.
Gold Rush Parker's Trail. Wednesdays on Discovery Channel.
This MGB is now fit for plenty more years on the road. But how much did this revamp cost? I bought the car from Barry for 11 grand. My shopping trip for poly bushes, a steering wheel and other bits to smarten up the interior came to £770. The second-hand gearbox was just 200, but the parts Elvis needed for the rebuild set us back 900. The new prop shaft was a bargain at 180 quid. And so were a new set of springs for 100. Finally, the new dashboard and a set of black door cappings were 146, which gives us a rather large total of £13,296. But surely that's money well spent to give this British icon the 60th birthday party it deserves.
Mate, it don't get much better than this, does it, eh? A beautiful summer's day, the English countryside, an MGB that feels absolutely epic, even from the passenger seat.
Well, yeah, I can tell you from this side of the car, it feels absolutely wonderful.
And changing the gearbox, that was absolutely the right way to go.
The Mazda gearbox, it's a great gearbox anyway, and sticking it in one of these, it just transforms a classic into something that feels really modern. Transform the way it drives, it's really precise, and we've got that all-important fifth gear, haven't we?
And I'm really pleased we get to experience that because we're also experiencing that wonderful prop shaft that I got for us.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And how did you get that done for, what was it, 180 quid?
And that was no favours.
Amazing.
That's how much it cost.
I tell you what else has transformed the way this car drives.
I know what you're going to say. It's the handling.
Yeah, the poly bushes.
It's just brilliant. That's all the stuff on the outside and the way the car drives. How about us, though? Sitting here in the cockpit, no longer are we staring at fusty old walnut on the dashboard and wooden cappings on the door. It's lovely in here now, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. And what I like about it is it's not too modern. It still suits the car.
I feel that we've done absolute justice to what is a car that's just about to collect its pension.
That's right, isn't it? Isn't that
just
hard
about
to believe? It does not feel like that.
It doesn't feel like that. I said earlier, there's lots of events up and down the country celebrating the MGB's 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
And the good news is, that's where we're going. We're going to put it in the eyes of hundreds and hundreds of people. And I just hope they like what we've done with the car. And the good news is as well, I've lined up a potential buyer at the same time. So if we got it right, I've got a funny feeling we're going to be saying goodbye to this by the end of the day.
Because I booked us a place at the world's biggest historic motor racing festival, the Silverstone Classic. The event brings together some of the greatest cars on the planet. And this year, it's hosting a special MGB get-together as part of the car's 60th birthday celebrations. I can't think of a better spot to show our one off and hopefully secure that sale with my potential buyer, Neil.
Now, Neil said that he was going to meet me here. He should be here, actually, looking around the cars. And he said he was going to meet me here.
He's got to like it.
He's going to love it. He's going to absolutely love it. Yeah, on cue.
Right on
you,
cue.
Neil.
Yeah, I am.
Nice to meet you. This must be Elaine.
Hi.
This is Elvis.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice for you to come down. It's lovely for you to come down and see us. So there's the car. What do you think?
It's absolutely beautiful, guys. Absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. So, what's this? Is it a sort of present to yourself if you was to buy it, or is it some kind of anniversary?
Yeah, it's my 29th wedding anniversary today.
Is it?
That's brilliant. So you're buying this car for lovely Elaine on the anniversary?
No.
No?
Buying himself.
Oh, you're buying yourself?
So I hope he's got you an even bigger present somewhere
I doubt
then.
it.
No?
I doubt it.
Come on.
I doubt it.
Elvis, it's even worse than that because we were booked on a 5-day holiday in the Scottish borders and I cancelled it to come here and look at that car.
So you nearly made it to 30 years before the divorce.
Oh, so close.
That close.
This close.
That close. Well, listen, we're really proud of what we've done with the car. So why don't you have a good look around it? You sit inside it and try to enjoy it. All right, I'll come back in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Neil's really putting his marriage on the line with this one. It's a beautiful little car, but is that going to be enough to win over Elaine's heart?
So then, guys, what do you think?
Absolutely love it, mate.
Oh, thank you. That's what we want to hear.
Even I love it.
Oh, well, nice one, Elaine. Well, listen, we're asking £15,000 for it in amongst the MG enthusiasts here this weekend. I know we're going to get that for it. So what do you think? Do you want to buy it?
I'd snap your hand off, but I'd just like to have a drive in it first.
I had a feeling Neil might want to take it for a spin first. So, being one step ahead, I booked us a spot with the MGB Owners Club as they take a celebratory 60th anniversary lap around this world-famous circuit.
So then, Neil, what about this for a test drive? We're on the Formula One race circuit, the international race circuit here at Silverstone. And if you look in your mirrors at what we got behind us, it's not bad, is it?
Not bad at all. It's better than not bad. It's a dream come true, Mike.
It's fantastic. Well, what do you think of the car? Does it feel all right?
Oh, it feels beautiful, just responds fantastic. Better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it absolutely drives exceptionally. The gearbox, what do you think of that MX-5 gearbox? Now you get a chance to use it. Isn't that wonderful?
It's absolutely amazing. I cannot wait.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you're saying you cannot wait. You haven't actually agreed to buy it yet, so I need 15 grand for it, as I said to you earlier. What do you think?
Well, I hadn't agreed to buy it, Mike, but I haven't got a lane with us out here, so hold out your hand. Give it.
You just bought yourself a cracking MGB. Well done, sir. Well done. Well, what about that? Me and Elvis, not only did we manage to turn around this old MGB, we made it feel like new again. It's got freshened suspension and this amazing 5-speed gearbox. And we've made a very young man very happy behind the wheel. He'll enjoy it for many years to come, and he'll also enjoy all the future anniversaries. Happy anniversary and happy birthday, MGB, on your 60th year. If you want to see more iconic cars like this being turned around by me and Elvis, then join us again soon on Wheeler Dealers. Ta-ra.